Damn, damn, damn.
Come here now, girl.
It's time to meal prep and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of gum. Meal prep's really important when it comes to bodybuilding. Everyone can train really hard, everyone can smash the gym and hit the weights when they need to, but after you've stimulated the muscles, you need food to recover and fuel your body, right? And there's no two ways about it really. Meal prep is convenient, everything's weighed out, you know exactly what you're getting, fit it into your macros perfectly. It's just, if you made the decision to focus on health and fitness as your goal, whatever your goal is with regard to sport or bodybuilding or general wellness, meal prep is where it's at. Particularly if you're working long hours at a job, or you find eating with the frequency that you require, let's say you're doing, 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day, the excuse of, I got caught without a meal, so I had to have a mayonnaise sandwich from some coffee shop. It's a rubbish excuse, really. Meal prep is so much easier. Everyone should be doing it, if you're serious. Real men don't have a problem using pink shaker cups for their branch chains. So, it's Sunday morning. Both my flatmates are in bed, super hungover. They got in at about 4 a.m. And I'm gonna use this clean kitchen, ready to go, for some meal prep. I'll just be showing you some quick, basic tips for how to power through, get it done in 20, 30 minutes, pack it up, in the fridge, good to go. Meal prep essentials. Number 1, scales. I would go digital. You're obviously going to want to portion out your food based on how many calories, proteins, carbs and fat you want in each box. So you know exactly, without having to check what's in the box, what that meal contains. Scales. Non-negotiable. Number 2 is Tupperware. Couple of different kinds. You got the really sturdy sort of, you can get these on Amazon or in your local pound shop, or 99-cent store, I guess you'd call it. Lasts for ages. I think the main thing to check is that it's got some sort of, see the seal here? That's really good for if you do like an egg meal with a lot of liquid in it, or like something with some sauce and you're worried about it spilling. You don't want it going all over your bag, so these are really good. There are also the kinds that they come like with a backpack or whatever, and will kind of like slot into a cool bag. They're pretty good, but again, just make sure that you've got one with a decent seal. I tend to go for the ones with a bit of longevity, and you can see I've been using these for quite a while. All the like fork marks at the bottom there. You can also go the slightly less environmentally friendly one at a time route. Disposable route, although I'd say the disposable Tupperwares are really, really unreliable. I've had a bunch of them explode on me because they are just flimsy, and B, it's not, I mean, let's say you're doing 5 or 6 meals a day, do that for a week, suddenly you're on 35 plus boxes that you're getting through. It adds up quickly, and even if you're recycling them or whatever, it makes sense to get one that you can just stick in the dishwasher and reuse, in my opinion. A recent idea that I've come across is the idea of using quite large Tupperwares. You see this has got quite a lot of volume right here. That fits in there. Again, I just got this from Amazon. But what that enables me to do is I can have like a bunch of meat in there. Also use greens and salad to really add a lot of volume without adding to the total calories. So in effect, it's kind of like making a burrito bowl sort of thing, where I'll use romaine lettuce heads are really good. You can use sort of salad premix. Here's like a lettuce, cabbage, carrot one, and like that whole bag has got like about 60 calories in it, something like that. Spinach is good. Baby spring mix, I'm a big fan of. You also got a dieter's dream. Pickles. These are pickled cucumbers. But in this whole jar, you're talking about I think it's like, we're talking about 40 calories in this whole thing. And you can just chop up a couple of those and just kind of sprinkle them over some beef and some lettuce. Throw in some hot sauce and maybe some onion, and suddenly you're talking like you got one of those burrito bowls from Chipotle. Obviously drowning in hot sauce. That's another pro tip. So today is meal one, beef.
What's beef? Beef is when you make your enemies start your Jeep. Beef is when you roll no less than 30 deep.
Red meat is a great staple in a bodybuilding diet. High protein, little bit of saturated fat, which is good for hormonal health. And it's also very high in creatine. So, meal number one in what I would call my staple meal prep meals is my steak meal, my red meat meal. Boom! I think it's important to get lots of different protein sources, so not just go the chicken and tilapia route. Getting protein from different sources is a good idea. Red meat in particular is good, A, because of its very high natural creatine content. So even if you're supplementing with creatine, it's good to bolster that with a little bit of red meat throughout the diet. The fat content is also good for hormonal health. You need saturated fat in your diet, you just don't want too much. I tend to use 5% fat mince, A, because it's cheap, and if you're eating lots like I am, that's a factor, obviously, and it should be in any bodybuilding diet. You don't want to be spending lots of money as well. You want to find a way to do it in a cost-effective way. So buying bulk 5% lean mince is a great idea. If you are going to go the steak route, and lean cuts are great. Like, try to go for fillet, rump, and sirloin if you can, over the fattier cuts. Trying to meal prep ribeye, it's more of a treat because they're much higher in fat. So the meat today was provided by the guys over at Lean Meat London. They sent me a massive care package of all the meat that I was asking for my current photo shoot prep. So I got some chicken, some diced turkey, some really great steak. Got 4 fillet steaks here, matured, nice little bit of marbling on the fat, but still quite lean. And here's the kicker with Lean Meat London, and thank you so much for hooking me up with this. You have no idea how useful it is. It comes with the nutrition and the macros already on it. It really annoys me when, so you go to the supermarket, you're paying a lot of money for the meat, and then also the nutrition is very ballpark. Your per average steak. This is all weighed out, you know exactly what you're getting per 100 grams, so you can just fit it into your macros perfectly. I'm not actually going to be cooking the steaks today. I'm using 5% fat lean mince. You can see Lean Meat London have hooked me up with 2 kilos of the stuff. I normally cook it about 1 kilo at a time, which if I'm having about 250 grams a day, which is what I'm having at the moment, that kind of sees me through for a couple of days. I'm going to cook all this up right now, and you can see the macros there. Pretty darn spot on. So roughly what you want to look at when you select your lean steak is around 20 grams of protein to circa 4 to 6 grams of fat, equivalent 5%. And there should be no carbs. If there are carbs in beef, there's something up with the ingredients, don't buy it. So there's 2 main ways to cook your mince. One is to pan fry it, which is what I've been doing for a couple of years now. You basically get yourself the biggest frying pan that you can. I mean, we are talking what I call the intruder frying pan. You know, someone is coming in through the window, get it? You want to bash them over the head with the biggest frying pan, right? So that's the one that you use. You can fit about 1 to 2 kilos of meat in that. Have it on high heat with some coconut oil inside. So I use organic coconut oil for when I'm doing any sort of pan cooking. Failing that, if you can't find any coconut oil, which is a great source of MCTs, meaning chain triglycerides, Google it, they're important. You can also use one of these Fry Light cooking sprays. So it's 1 calorie per spray. You just give it a little spritz, and just the one thing to avoid is don't slather it in olive oil, which, I mean, A, the calories go through the roof, and also if it burns, it's been shown to be carcinogenic. That's really something to avoid, particularly if you're going to be eating in large quantities. Stay away from that. Also, don't use the sunflower oil version. Again, it's just not optimal. You're thinking about your health, so try to keep it olive, or if possible, coconut. Pan on a high heat, shove it in, keep it moving, maybe with some onions or something. You want it to go just as it stops being red all the way through. And then you can add like some hot sauce or something like that, and you're good to go. Today, mainly because of the volume of meat that I'm cooking, I'm going to be baking the mince. This sounds like a slightly weird concept, but it's just the way that I've found to kind of streamline the whole process. So I've got my oven tray like that. I'm going to take that whole box of mince, put it on the tray, and put it in the oven. I aim at about 180 to 200 degrees, and I put it in the middle shelf of the oven. It's pedantic, but that's the best place for kind of baking something. It's where the most even temperature is going to be in the oven, so aim at the middle, guys. So there you go. Lean Meat London were not kidding when they sent me this. It is just, I mean, it's essentially a meatloaf is what we're cooking today. It's just going to be very easy to portion up, and it's going to cook through in about 15 to 20 minutes at this heat. So that goes in there. I'll check it after about 15 minutes to make sure that it's coloured evenly throughout, so it's totally cooked. Another reason I put it on that rack is so any fat that is in there is just going to run through, and you're left with some nice lean steak on top of the rack. In terms of seasoning, I use pink Himalayan sea salt. I will link some articles down below on why that's good. You can get it in a big tub like this from Amazon. I use it when I season all my food, pink Himalayan sea salt. It's a tiny little investment, and it sounds bizarre, but I actually think it tastes better than regular salt. Don't ask me how that's possible, I just think it does. But it's also been shown to have some health benefits, so you can make a small little substitution like that, why not? Now while that's cooking, one question that I get asked a lot is how should I season my meal prep food? Because, I hate bland chicken, bland meat. It doesn't have to be bland. If you're eating plain chicken and meat and beef and fish day in and day out, you are seriously doing it wrong. Fundamentally, it's a cliche, but this is a lifestyle, right? You've got to do this 24/7 if you're serious about it. So torturing yourself with rubbish food is dumb. I enjoy everything that I eat, and like I said, if I feel like having something in particular, like some sushi or whatever, I can fit it in. I don't have to have a cheat day and throw my nutrition out the window. I can make it work because I've calculated the macronutrients that I need. And when I'm gonna flavour my day-to-day meal prep foods, what I do is I go for zero calorie or near enough 0 calorie sauces, so I don't have to waste calories on really sugary sauces. So in terms of sauce, I have 3 staples that I would recommend. One is Cholula hot sauce. This stuff is amazing. I put it on everything. In particular, I like the chili and garlic. There's also a lime one, which is fantastic. Original's really good and goes really well with chicken. And the chipotle one is fantastic with beef. Unfortunately, I've just run out. So, but chili, garlic, Cholula is fantastic. And you just look at the macros right here, and per 100 mils, so in this whole bottle is 150 milliliters, right? Per 100, so 3/4 of this bottle, there is 17 calories. Reason for that? Ingredients: water, salt, dried chili peppers, vinegar, garlic, spices. There's no sugar or rapeseed oil or anything being added in. So it's essentially just herbs and spices and vinegar and water, right? So I don't track this. I just drown my food in it, and it's not going to make a huge difference. It's not going to make a huge difference to your intake. So chili is fantastic. Frank's Red Hot, another big staple, particularly with chicken, is great. I like it on the beef as well, because like I said, I can throw in some lettuce or romaine hearts, sweet gem lettuce, one of those pre-mixed salads with the spinach and stuff in it, and this just makes it taste great. And same sort of deal, ingredients: cayenne pepper, vinegar, water, salt. You got 148 ml in there, and per 100 grams you are talking 25 calories. So nothing, you don't need to track it. This stuff is fantastic for particularly when you're cutting, but even when you're bulking, you want to be aware of what's going into your body. Last one is Nando's. Everyone loves Nando's, cheeky Nando's. This is a little bit more calorically dense. There's a little bit of vegetable oil and some onion, which, you know, vegetables have calories, I'm afraid to say, have to break it to you. But again, per 100 mils, you're talking 64 calories. So if you just do a tiny little, I mean, I say tiny, like I do put a decent amount on, but there's no need to weigh it. You're talking plus or minus like 10 calories max for a decent serving of this stuff. So that's another great way to go. Another thing I like to do is seasoning. So on top of the salt, stuff like this. This is my favorite. It's actually a Mexican brand called Adobo. They do absolutely fantastic seasonings. It's garlic, lemon, pepper. Again, things that don't change the caloric value of your food in any great way, but really add to the taste. I normally add it to, for stuff like chicken, I'll add it before I cook, and it gives like a nice little crust on the top. For beef, I'll add it after I finish cooking, and that way I can mix up the flavours as well. Big things to avoid is stuff like this. Oh, it's barbecue sauce, it's no big deal. And I look at it, per 100 grams, it's 154 calories. And your ingredients: number 1, tomato puree; number 2, sugar. Just don't waste your macros on bullshit like this. There's no need, you know, if you're looking at the glycemic index of your freaking carbs and then slathering it in sugar every time, just don't do it. There is no point in putting on like Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce and adding like 100, 200 calories worth of sauce that ultimately you don't really notice, doesn't fill you up if you're cutting, and if you're bulking, it's just, it's crappy calories, it's sugar. So this is starting to look good. You can see there's not much fat in that meat at all. Thank you Lean Meat London for providing some lean meat. See what we did there. Gonna leave it in there a little bit longer to let it cook through, but it's starting to get there. One question I always get asked actually is with regard to weighing, should you weigh before cooking or after? Number one thing is be consistent week to week. Make the decision on which one you're going to do and then keep it consistent. Doesn't make a huge difference, but obviously you lose water weight when you cook meat, particularly with stuff like chicken. So if you're going to do before, do before. If you're going to do after, do after. I find before is really quite time consuming. It's quite time consuming because you need to portion up the food and then somehow cook it in those portions when you've pre-weighed it, if you're doing it in bulk. So what I tend to do is, I know what the weight is before I cooked it. So in this case, there's 2 kilos of mince in there. And so I know if I want to do 250 grams, so I know if I want to do 250 grams per portion of beef, that means that whatever weight the finished product ends up at, I'm going to need to divide that by 8 to get my portion size. That way I know that that's 250 grams of dry weight of uncooked meat, and then whether I've left it in a little bit longer, lost a little bit more water or less, is going to be consistent. And then with my chicken, I just do cooked weight, go by cooked weight, and that also makes it easy if I have run out of meal prep food and need to go down to the supermarket and get some cooked chicken. It's really easy to just sort of sub it in. So I say go by uncooked weight if you can, but oftentimes just a little bit of gymnastics with your maths is better than actually sitting there and weighing portion sizes out. Obviously, if you're just cooking one meal, that's easy, but I'm banging out 8 beef meals right now, so I don't want to have to sort of cut the beef up and set it on separate trays and things like that. You just want to cook it, weigh it, get it in there and get it done. So if you've baked it, that is what done looks like. Pro tip, this meat is really, oh man, that smells good. If you get it out of the oven, obviously it's going to be hot. So if you leave it, if you cook it to about medium rare and then just leave it on the counter to rest for a few minutes, it's going to taste a lot better, trust me, but also it'll just cook through a little bit more. So if you bring it out when it's just about medium rare, you get a nice sort of medium cook. I like mine kind of like, yeah, medium rare to medium for the mince, and then for a steak I'll always go medium rare, but always factor in that sort of 5-minute resting time where it is going to carry on cooking through because it's still really hot. So you can see after cooking, that's 1.3-ish kilos. So that's down from 2 kilos. You can see there's quite a bit of difference between the cooked and non-cooked weight. I just know I'm going to divide this by 8 and whack it in those. Job done. I did some of this diced turkey that Lean London sent me as well. Thank you so much. I mean, meat is pretty much currency for me. Guys, go to them for protein. Oh, that Matt Ogre shirtless meal prep.